Hello and welcome to a solo podcast, which is what I want to do more of, just to keep you up to date a wee bit more on all your health needs. And also I just wanted to address, see the theme tune at the start of the podcast, and it's a kind of woman singing. That's actually not a woman, it's actually producer Mark. He's just got a very high voice, quite a feminine voice, but it's good, kept in tune. So because this is a solo one, I wanted to take the time today to tell you a wee bit about my background, because I don't know if you just think, geez, oh man, this bird's obsessed with ovaries and hormones, why would that be? And there is reason to how I got into this. So I got into the fitness industry when I was about 18, and I don't know if you guys would know from kind of looking in on the fitness industry. You probably think people are dead fit and healthy, but there is a major dark side to the fitness industry, and I was actually just talking to producer Mark about this. And it's when I was young as well, you're impressionable. Do you know what I mean? I was 18, so I was like surrounded by all these folk that had abs and all that, like, wow. And then I just became, my nature is obsessive compulsive. If I get something in my head, I'll obsess about it. Do you know what I mean? I've got OCD, I've got intrusive thoughts. Yes, it's a mixed bag, it's a real treat. So because I got into the fitness industry with my addictive personality, I did get really obsessed with exercise, wanting to look a certain way. And I think this is the dark side of the fitness industry, and especially for personal trainers and people who are in the fitness industry. You are under pressure to look a certain way. I think doesn't matter what your knowledge is. I think, we're human, we're animals. We'll judge people on appearance. It's a deep-rooted, defence thing that we've got. We'll judge what you have a look about. So I just felt a lot of pressure being that young in the fitness industry to look a certain way. I was a bit overweight. In fact, I was probably saying for me it would be overweight. My mum, I can actually see when my mum's telling people this story, because I can see her going like that. That's her describing what my arse was. I'm just across the room stop telling people. But so I was overweight, just getting into the fitness industry, going down the rabbit hole of all these mad crazy diets. And as women, we know there is a pressure. We're looking at OK magazines and Cat Dailies on there doing some sort of strange cream bun diet. Yes, I did the cream bun diet as well. So I was doing lots of things like that. I think when I look back on how obsessed I was about exercising, I was getting up at 4 a.m, going and making and eating a protein pancake, then going back to bed for 2 hours, then getting up to do steady state cardio, which was 45 minutes on a cross trainer. Have you ever spent 45 minutes on a fucking cross trainer? It's boring as fuck. Like that. We don't know what this action is in real life. No. So 45 minutes, right? Pounding yourself into the ground. Then I would be really, really restrictive of what I was eating, because you would be reading things online. Do you know what I mean? This person's eating 1,200 calories. This person's on this diet, which is powdered food that you put water in and then you can eat it. And just, so you're getting all this information overload. Very hard to sort of find your own path, not realising that everything's unique. So I was following all these crazy diets. I was doing the cream bun diet. So if you haven't been following my Instagram, what the cream bun diet is, I'm not proud of it, but it's 3 cream buns a day, and that's all you eat. So obviously when I was I'm I can do that. I can eat 3 cream buns a day. That's a fucking brilliant diet, no? 3 cream buns? Yeah. Wow. So when I couldn't even touch my teeth with a toothbrush, man, they were killing me. And I don't think I slept. I think I just sat up pure hallucinating that big cream buns were walking in and out the room, pure fucking sleep paralysis of cream buns. So did that diet. I did Beyonce's diet. Apparently Beyonce's diet was the maple syrup diet, which was maple syrup, water and cayenne pepper. So obviously you can imagine that is delicious. That comes straight back out the way it goes in. So I did that diet. I did various shake diets. Do you know what I mean? Where everybody's sitting eating their dinner, but you've got a fucking shake. Well, it's okay. Don't make mine, because I'm going to drink my dinner. No. So the theme that runs through all these diets is, one, it's not good for your health. It's damaging your health. But being so obsessed on thinking that if I arrived at a certain destination, I would be happy and everything would be great, but that doesn't actually happen. Then also, what also runs through it is money. It's a big money maker. Fitness industry makes a lot of money selling diets, selling shakes. Do you know what I mean? So you've got all that side of it. The fact that it was damaging my hormones, and this was just, it was like I was on a bus towards hormone damage central. And when I look back now, I can see how actually crazy I was. I was also taking lots of caffeine in to suppress my appetite. So instead of like a breakfast, I'd have coffee. Do you know what I mean? I would then be having mad fat burners that had pure names like, I don't know, like Tombstone, or like one was called Unicorn Piss. And I thought that was a good thing to buy. Why? So full of pre-workout, full of uppers, man, rattling, taking all kinds of fat burners, illegal ones that are asthma drugs for horses in China, Chinese writing on them. Just like a pure mix of lots of things, thinking that I was going to be a certain way and look really good, and then everything was great and I'd be happy and I'd be stoating about. But that didn't happen. What happened is I ran into huge problems with my mental health and my physical health. So this is whilst I'm being a personal trainer. Now there's lots of other things in the mix with this as well. So my mental health wasn't good from a point of view. My mental health wasn't good. I was hiding the fact that I was gay as well. Not from my friends, but probably I was hiding it from clients. So it's so hard to spend an hour with somebody. And when you're personal training somebody, you get to know each other. Like you build a relationship and you get a rapport, and that's what happens. So I became the master of like rebounding questions. I think people would leave the session and be like, the fuck does that bird do on a day? Like I became so good at that. So I was hiding all that. I think that the shame of feeling gay and feeling ashamed about it made me become so obsessed with exercise. And I do notice that with clients, with people that talk to me, that if they are being a certain way and they're striving for this sort of unachievable, unattainable thing, and they're putting all their energy into it and focus into it, I feel like it is to try and fill a void of some kind, you know, because it's not normal. It's not normal to be getting up at 4 a.m, to be so restrictive, getting invited to people's houses and taking my own dinner with me. Like, it was crazy. So because my hormones were so bad, I basically lost my period for 3 years. Now I go on and on to you guys how important it is to ovulate. So because I was not ovulating, my anxiety was atrociously terrible. And I didn't know I had anxiety, but I would like go to Sainsbury's for my food shop, and I'd put the key in the door, and then I'd be like, nah, I can't go outside today, mate, just go back in the house, rattling about, probably doing squats or something instead. But so my mental health wasn't good. I also, from a little girl, have suffered with OCD, and OCD, intrusive thoughts. So when I was like maybe 4 or 5, I would do this thing where it'd be like, I need to crawl up to that corner and touch it, or something bad's going to happen. So I was doing all this anyway, but that probably went away as a teenager. But the fact that I was doing all this stuff to be thin, to be skinny, it had brought it all back up to the surface. So it like pure exasperated that. So my OCD, intrusive thoughts, were really bad. I would sit at night, and because I was so high rate on like all different fat burners, pre-workouts, caffeine, the fact that I was under eating, I would have to take something to like try and cool me down. So you're on that mix of kind of uppers and downers. Like, not many people's mental health would be great at this point. So not good mental health, not good physically, because I was getting injured all the time. You can't really train like that with no rest. It probably took me a wee while to work that out. So I was really, really burning the candle, and losing the periods comes with lots of different things wrong. Like, for example, you're not ovulating, so it can have an effect on your gut health. I was getting the cold every 2 weeks and thinking, not at any point did I think, oh, this is because I'm doing all this. I was just in this whirlwind. And when I see people in that whirlwind, you can offer them a hand, but whether or not they want to grab it and pull themselves out is a different story. I think maybe probably people tried to kind of help me, but I'd be dead defensive about it, and I'd probably shut myself off even more from that person. So in the mix of like being gay and not coming out properly and doing all this to my body, I think it was shame. I think that my self-esteem was low because I always felt different as a child, and so my self-esteem being low, I'm thinking probably subconsciously, if I get thin, if I get ripped, that my self-esteem would be higher, and that never happened because, as it turns out, it's an inside job and you need to work on all the mental health side of stuff. Then the body usually follows after that, which is weird. And now, years of doing stuff like affirmations and really working on my mental health, working internally, that I see how much it trickles out into the exterior part of you, and that's where you really need to go first. So because I wasn't doing that, I was just in a really bad place. Then what happened is I was still personal training, a busy personal trainer, I'm funny, So I was getting clients, I know my stuff, I'm obsessive researching about it. I was probably researching the wrong things because I was more like, right, let's get thin. People want to get thin, we want to drop weight, let me test your body fat, diddly-dee. And then what happened was my mum got ill, so then that kind of just put this stop. My mum got ill, and one of my intrusive thoughts is always my mum getting ill. So for me, there's the worst case scenario just happening. I remember when I was younger, my mum going through things, probably her perimenopause, she had fibroids, all that. But the big stop for me was when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So all control's gone. It's the worst case scenario. Really dark days, horrible. My dad's always been into holistic health and Chinese medicine and stuff like that. So we decided to go down that path. And I have always had a knowledge that how you treat your body will have an effect on your health, because I had eczema when I was young and I went to the Chinese doctor. They told me what to cut out of my diet. They gave me a cream and it went away. So I did have that basic knowledge that what you're putting into your body really will have an effect. And I just kind of lost my way with that a wee bit because I was trying to fill that void, that self-esteem, trying to make myself feel better. I lost all that. But when my mum got cancer, it brought it all back. So that's what started me down a path of health rather than just the way I look, and the vanity side of the fitness industry, which is really tough. It's really tough. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys would know MD that's done any of these shows, like the fitness shows when you see them on stage and they're doing all their poses and all that, and they're painted probably the colour of the table. I don't know if you can see the table, but it's very brown. And they're up on stage doing all that. And to get to that condition, you need to tear apart your body, and your mental health normally kind of goes along with it. So it's really, really hardcore stuff. So all that had to go for me, and then I had to start to focus on health. Because of my mum's cancer, basically we had to strip everything back. And I do believe that, our cells are made up of anything we eat. I'm always telling you that. So we just had to strip it back and kind of work backwards with the help of other people, functional medicine, Chinese medicine. And a lot of my mum's health conditions were due to just being a really stressed person. I don't know if I've told you the story of I went to the Blythewood. Now, Blythewood spa, lovely, waterfall music, birds tweeting, you get a lovely massage, waterfall cascading down next to you, there's like scent in the room to relax you, you get put in these little cubicles with a curtain, you're lying in a wee hot bed. I remember just sitting up and just pulling the curtain back just to look at my mum, and she was sitting fucking bolt upright. I was like, Mum, lie down, relax. Like, she's just that type of person, like just full on all the time. So her stress, on top of the fact that, she said that other things happen in her life. Her dad was an alcoholic, my brother was an addict. So a lot of like trauma and stuff like that. And then she went in for a hysterectomy because she had fibroids. They left her ovaries in, but they still gave her HRT. So my mum had her cancer for 9 years. It didn't spread, luckily. But it just sat there for 9 years, and it was exactly 9 years that she was given HRT and the hysterectomy. So I felt a lot of when I got into doing this about female health, and I'm learning so much, and I'm researching because I really like to take care of people that I love. So I'm researching, I'm falling into all this stuff, finding out amazing information, helpful stuff, thinking, why is this not out there? But as I've got older, now it's not an issue, but I had a lot of like almost regret, because if I knew, if my mum went through what she went through now with all the knowledge that I have, then she could have avoided all these health things. And so I just felt it became a sort of mission, I suppose, to help other women find out all this stuff and have all this knowledge so that they could avoid the same kind of things that had happened to her. But I felt a lot of regret and a lot of kind of turmoil, because you can't rewind time. Kind of what's done is done. But I look at it now in a way that everything does happen for a reason. She is great now. She's the healthiest she's ever been. And it was the kind of catalyst to the stuff that I do now. So that's why I spend a lot of my time doing all that and researching it. And I think that there's this huge gap for women and their female health, and whether that being to do with the male patriarchy or whatever, we've just not been taught it. There's never been a focus on women, do you know what I mean? We're just kind of, right, you stay home, there's a wee cookbook, there's that, deal with that. And we never really get taught any of this stuff. So now women, we suffer with the most like autoimmune, we've got the most thyroid problems. Women, when we're transitioning into menopause, we don't know what's going on. We're more prone to senile dementia. We're more prone to heart. We're more prone to osteoporosis. And there was just nothing that we could do about that, whereas there is once you've got the knowledge. So that's what led me down that path of trying to teach people and feeling, I don't know, a responsibility to women. I wish there was somebody like me genuinely that was around maybe when my mum first got something wrong with her, which would have been the heavy periods and the fibroids. And I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, it's at KPING Fit, keeping fit. Do you get it, by the way? It's my initials, KP and then fit. I talk a lot. I was talking this week about the heavy periods, and people message me, they'll DM me, and actually I wish that you wouldn't DM me, because I like when we're open about it and we can have a conversation and other women can read your comments and go, oh fucking hell, me too. So I've been talking a lot about heavy periods, so that's where my mum started. So understanding that this could be a red flag, what could it mean? For my mum it was excess estrogen. Later down the line, what was it? It was excess estrogen. It was estrogen responsive breast cancer basically that she got. What if somebody far down the line had went, you shouldn't be having heavy periods like that? Do you think it might be because your estrogen's off? You know, and then that would have just, maybe she would have went away and she would have researched it or something. I don't know. But that was the main thing that kind of said, right, okay, let's stop focusing on the way we look. It's just this grim focus, just vanity, man. It's empty. So I thought, I'm just going to stop doing that. So I started to really research all this. At the time, just pure divine timing, because my hormones were getting, and then I had this big bit of stress with my mum. My health then took a bit of a turn for the worst. But I already had knowledge behind me. But then I started to research more. So I was getting things like fibrocystic breast syndrome, which my mum having breast cancer, I've got lumps and ropey breast tissue, stressed. But doing the research, I could work out what was causing that issue in me. And then I was able to, I've not completely eradicated it, but I can manage the symptoms. I understand how my body works. So when the red flag comes and I maybe feel like I've got breast pain, I know how to reverse it. I know what to do. And I don't think it's just fair for me to have that knowledge and yous don't. So that's why I have really dedicated my work to you women, so you can just flood into my inbox right now and just thank me, because I don't mind that. So that's how it all went to health for me, and that's how I ended up on this path. In terms of mental health, I love the way people work. I love the way the brain works. I love people and their weird quirks. I got into a lot of different things like NLP. I've done all that. I've done a course, transaction analysis, which is the way people communicate and what different modes that people go into. So from a mental health point of view, doing a lot of work on that, I would say possibly in the last 5 years now to this day, still doing that work, kind of dip my toe in the law of attraction and all that kind of thing, doing positive affirmations, manifesting. And I think that manifesting, I don't think that it's a magic thing. I think that you need to put something into your mind that will focus it, and your thoughts will become basically your beliefs, and that will change the way you behave. And that's how that kind of works. So to this day now, doing all this mental health stuff, that I came to realise that it's actually mental health that should be your number one thing. Change your thoughts, it will change your actions, and then see when you're having to decide to do these healthy things, it actually becomes a lot easier. So when I changed my mental health, I was doing stuff to manage my OCD. I was still now, I'll still have a bit of a relapse, and I can feel when my OCD's acting a bit barking, and I'm like, that fucking hell, right, I need to go back, I need to sage myself, I need to get my crystals out, and so I'll do all that. But the mental health side for me was the biggest game changer, to be fair. The female health stuff's so interesting, but when you get the mental health side right, which is what I had to do, I had to tackle that OCD. Listen, sitting, sometimes I'll still get intrusive thoughts, but it kind of happens when I'm stressed out, or I'll feel overwhelmed, I've got hundreds to do, and I'm just sitting with hundreds of shit stacked up around me like that. I'm going to look at these wee videos of chihuahuas now, like, what? And I know these triggers in myself now. So the OCD is just very overbearing. I just try and channel my obsessive kind of nature into things that are positive. Because I've also seen that firsthand on a kind of the wrong side of having an addictive personality, I suppose, with my half-brother. I don't know, I think I've spoke about it, but I don't really talk about it. I was actually ashamed of that as well, which I feel guilty about, but there's no point because you can't change things. So I've seen the addictive side kind of work it in a bad way. And my brother, we grew up with him being an addict, but not just an addict to alcohol, lots of things. Like it would be like the sex lines, it would be like addicted to online shopping, it would be, sometimes he would channel into good things. One time he made a part for Facebook and just made a fortune, so he was like clever, but I saw that addictive side of somebody go wrong basically, and it is a thin line. I can see how that could have happened, just choices, isn't it? So he passed away just probably in lockdown when it was all weird, like in the Panny D, in the weird Panny D, and it was Street Valium actually that killed him in the end, probably because he was having a bad spell or whatever. But I would love to have went back now and tried to help him in a mental health type of way. So with these two things that have kind of happened to me in my life, with my mum and even myself with my health problems, and then my brother with his sort of mental health, and even then me feeling a wee bit out of control in my mental health at some points, and I don't like that as a person. I'm quite like, I like things together. I like to make sure everybody's having a nice time. So with those two things combined and studying them for years and years, because I've been in the industry now for, I don't know, 18 years. And I do like to pause so that you can go, fucking hell, how young is she? How young does she look? Because I mean, 18 years, I must have started when I was like, what, 5 or something? So those two things, I would say, have really shaped the way I am today, and I'm very grateful for that, because now I'm in a great relationship with my partner Stacey, and years ago I was not in the mental headspace to be with somebody like her and be the best version of myself, because that's what she makes me want to be. I want to be the best version of myself for her, and we've got the 2 wee girls, and I want them to see somebody that could be a role model to them. So that has shaped me to where I am to this point. So I just wanted to do that podcast today to let you know a wee bit about me, because like I said, sometimes I can be quite introvert. I know on Instagram I look all extrovert, but I am sometimes when it suits me. But a lot of the time I'm quite introvert. So that is another warning, by the way. And I was just saying to Mark, somebody, his son's girlfriend who works in Sainsbury's was like that. Oh, do you do the podcast? And I think my face was fucking scarlet. I just freeze. Normally I've got Stacey with me and she'll start coming in with some good chat, because you can see that I'm fucking like, oh fuck, what do you say? What should I say? Should you start taking pictures with me and tagging me on my Instagram? I don't know. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little insight into me, because listen, I don't fucking actually let that happen ever, and that's a one-off. So I hope you enjoyed that, and goodbye. And also, by the way, just before I go, will you fucking press the fucking star on the Spotify and give me a rating? I don't know why it's good, and I don't know why I need to say that, but I know that other people with podcasts do that. So give me a rating and leave me a review. Take care. Bye.